Hello there.
Hi. It's working.
Hey, super easy. We did it.
Yay.
Yes, people are joining, and the baby's still there, safe and
Yeah,
sound.
yes. I'm very, very pregnant. About as pregnant as you can get.
Yes, yes, yes. So you're due in a week.
1.5, well, 2 weeks, kind of. Yeah, mid-June. So,
Thank you so much then for getting on this call with me. And I was super excited to because I was like starting to think, I would really like to speak with other people about the philosophy of navigating on trust. And we met like a few years ago in San Francisco, and it was inspiring. And for me, it felt like since then, for you, like it all fell into place.
it
What you were
did, yeah.
doing, yeah, 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 and you really, yeah, it had a lift off, no? And I was thinking, well, it would be fun to hear a little bit about that journey, that sort of struggling artist journey, or I don't know how you want to call it, and what role trust play in that journey. And yeah, I'm looking forward to speak a little bit about it.
Yeah, no, me too. Yeah, no, it was fun meeting you. Then, so what people might not know is that we went to the same high school back in the day.
Exactly.
We
Yes.
had like PE together, like gym class, but other than that, we didn't really connect so much. But yeah, no, I've been following your journey, and I find that really inspiring. And so yeah, it's really really fun to connect again.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yes. So, would you tell me a little bit about your journey as an artist and where you came from and how you got here, where you are now?
sure. Yeah, so I grew up like always like being creative, like wanting to draw and make things, but my whole education was pretty geared towards academic focus, which I don't know. It was like I never really felt like that's what I wanted to do. I always knew
Mm.
like I don't really like it. I like learning about things, but I find high school very boring. It were only like English. I liked English and Dutch, and that was pretty much it. Um, and then I went to college. And first, I thought I'd do psychology because that's was something that really interested me. Um, but I changed last minute because it was just I couldn't imagine myself working in that field so much.
Mm.
So I thought
Mm.
I'm just gonna pick something that I know I'm interested in, and then we'll see what happens. So I studied language and culture studies in Utrecht, and I learned a lot about literature, art, movies, computer games, and I really liked it, but it was very much theory based.
Mm.
And kind of like when I was at the end of it and did my internship with this, it was like a local television station that did like um, like interviews with artists and um, yeah, it was really fun. Like there were like 5 to 10 minute bits that we did. And I kind of came on board to be involved in like the fundraising and all that. But then I got behind the camera and they were like, "Oh, do you want to edit stuff?" And that's when I really realized like I am way much of a doer,
Oh yeah.
um, more of a creator than a scholar,
Mm.
if you will.
Mm.
So, but yeah, after college, or even like while I was working on my thesis, I got a job offer in the computer game industry as a tester, which was really fun. So I just did that, traveled a bit, and that led to like a steady job in the computer game industry. Um, and I always enjoyed that. It was fun. I felt like I was good at it too. Like I didn't go to work um, disliking it or anything, but I never really felt like it was my choice.
Mm.
See. So then, like, I started my own freelance translation business. I moved here after meeting my husband. And then while I was working so much on the computer, and we had our house, I had a little dedicated workspace. I was like, now is the time that I want to start making things. And like my husband had his sabbatical, and we traveled around a little bit here in California. I had a little sketchbook with me, and he was like, I didn't know that you drew. And I'm like, no, I don't. I'm just I want to try something else. I want to make things. And it was never really supposed to be a profession or anything. I just thought I need something to do with something to work with my hands. I need something to get this creative energy out. Like I would sometimes lay in bed with ideas that I had for a movie or for a drawing or for an artwork or a cookbook or a business, and I didn't have an outlet for that, and it drove me crazy. And then during the day I was just busy typing on my computer, and then I would go to bed again and lay awake thinking about all these things that could be.
So do you feel then that you chose this then?
Now I do.
Okay. Yeah.
I think it was more of a need almost. It was like a calling. It was like like I had two great aunts, my grandma's sisters, who were in the monastery, and my parents always talked about like how they had their calling, and I never really knew what that was. But I think looking back, I think for me being creative and making art is my calling. Or like in Buddhism they call it a dharma, a path.
Yes. So do you have a specific moment that when you feel, oh yeah, this is when I really realized, oh yeah, this is it?
Yes. Yeah, I had that a couple times when I had like a very clear vision of what I wanted to make. Because in the beginning you're just like, I want to make stuff, but you don't know what you want to make. Or at least that's how it was for me. I was like, I want to be or I want to make art just to entertain myself, or I want to make a drawing because I saw something or I had an idea. But it took me a while to find my voice. And then I had a couple times where just that moment, like right before falling asleep, when your mind is like completely clear and you can kind of float in without the thought. Like I kept getting these ideas of for collages, for ways to use my embroidery thread that I'd never seen before. Because when I first started out, I think, there were artists I liked and that I was inspired by. And you want to do your own thing, but it ends up looking a little bit like someone else. It doesn't feel yours. So for me, those moments happened when I really had my original ideas. Of like my color hole series or my nesting series. And when those ideas popped into my head, I got so excited you almost want to get up and make them right away. Like there's nothing, it feels like a force, like I have to make this. And you're not even thinking about like how yet or what you're going to do with it, but it's just like I have this idea. And before the idea floats away, I got to bring it from this realm of idea into this realm of reality.
Yes. It's so interesting, right? Because, well, I've taught courses like about trust, but I never really focus on specifically cultivating trust. I think to get trust, or like, for example, for you, like doing what you do, there are other things we need, such as consciousness or connection, or really trusting that those profound moments of insight. Oh, I don't know if you're still there.
Yeah, I'm still here.
Oh.
I got a pop up, but I can't see myself anymore.
Oh yeah, we see you now.
Oh, okay. My screen is black.
Oh no. Oh.
I don't know why that's. Hang on. Yeah, I can't see myself, but let me know if you don't see me.
I see you. Yeah. I will let you know if I don't see you. But it's so interesting, right? Because often feel like trust or that feeling is not something we can cultivate. It's only,
No.
yeah, we can listen to that inner calling. And when something clicks and when you know something, it's when you know it, right?
Right. Right. And
Is
then
it,
things fall into place, and you're right, like that when we met a couple of years ago, it was just after I had Lou, and I was still very much finding my own voice. I was still freelancing as a language consultant mainly. Um, and it was sort of a side thing, and it took a while for me to, yeah, to make things click, and like you said, and then, and then things start happening, start kind of like a little, it starts like a little snowball, and then it starts
yeah.
getting bigger and bigger, and everything feels so right that you're like, you're not even questioning, am I on the wrong path? Because
Yeah,
you're
yeah,
on
yeah,
the right.
yeah, yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you feel like because you said that you had an interest, for example, in psychology, and I know that you, for example, call your art also meditative art, or it's really a practice for you. Do you feel like your inner development is related to what you do in the outer world, and does it have relation with your success where you're now?
Yeah, very much. My art, it is very personal. I don't talk about that so much, like, because I have this whole inner world, like we all have. And for me, sometimes it's easier to express myself visually through my art than to talk or write about it, or
Hmm.
I have a background in dancing, and there was this famous dancer, I don't know who it was, but somebody who said, like, well, if I could write about it, I didn't have to dance. And um,
Yeah,
so
sure.
I think for me also, like, my art is a way of expressing myself, um, without having to use the words, or and sometimes I don't know what comes out, but
Hmm.
when I look at my art, for me it's very clear of what I was feeling at the moment. Some works are sad, some are happy, but there's always like a lot of personal things in it. And that's why, I don't know, like sometimes it agitates me when I see like people copying my art or something, because I'm like,
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
oh no,
yeah,
that's so personal. That's so,
yeah, yeah.
how can you do that? That's like my emotions, my feelings. Um, but I know that some people see that, my art, some people, it moves them. Some people just see lines and stick, or, they're like, I don't get it, or, but for me, it's very personal. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, and did you feel then also, for example, if I look back at my journey, then I felt when I was, yes, in one moment, I was working, for example, in a design studio, and I felt, yes, it was the right path to come where I am now. But at some point, I also felt like a dissatisfaction, like, something is just not right. Did you have that when you were in your previous jobs as well?
Yeah. Yeah. I felt like I was very go with the flowy, and I think that's a good place to be in. And like I said, I never knew what I wanted to be. So I was always like, oh, now this comes on my path, or this seems like a good idea, or look here, now there's this new opportunity. And I always embraced that, but I never really felt like, is this what I want to do? So sometimes
Mm,
I was, yeah, I think like 10 years ago or so, when I just moved here, um, I was very happy to be here. I was very happy to have my own business, which was successful, but there was something missing. And
mm,
I felt like this is not something that I'm going to be doing the rest of my life. So yeah, there was that little voice of like, you gotta figure out what it really is, what you do. And since I've made this transition to art, and things started um, snowballing, and I never thought I would make money with this,
mm.
So when that started happening, I was like, oh my goodness, this can be I can do this every day, because I always thought like, oh, I'll make my art and then on the side I'll do graphic design for the income, or just stay with my translation work. And then at one point I realized people want my art. There's really like an interest for my art, and I want to make my art. There's nothing I'd rather do. And I mean, I'm combining it with motherhood. I'm also like a full-time mom. So it's also something that works with that keeps that balance, which was important for me as well.
And it's a luxury position, no? Because I know that many people, and also within the Navigate and Trust philosophy, it's often like, okay, I would like to follow my heart, and I do want to do what I would love to do most in the world. But for many people, it is, yes, then moving from that safety, often from an income, into that realm of, oh my God, what am I doing? And can I do something with this? But for you, it sounds like that the transition was quite smooth, actually.
Yeah, I have to say, because I have this discussion a lot too with some people that I coach, or artists who I know, who look at my journey, and sometimes, like, I've even coached people who were like, from one day to the next, I quit my day job and I'm like making a career switch, and then I'm like, no, don't do that. That's too scary. That's the way I feel. I took like baby steps, like really, really small steps, and just see how that feels. I think if you are on the right path, there's no rush, and you're not going to lose anything by exploring it a little bit on the side. So it's not as brave as like, you know, go for it and jump off into the deep end. But for me personally, it was like, let's feel the waters a little bit.
Yeah.
How does it feel here? How does it feel there? So I've been very, very careful. Like, even though following my heart, I don't think that always means like you have to make these like very radical changes in your life. I think if you think about like a creative life, or making music, or whatever it is, take some classes, or buy a sketchbook, or whatever it is, and see how that feels. Just like as with a relationship, like when we fall in love, sometimes we feel, sorry, I keep getting these pop-ups. Sometimes we feel like, oh, this feels so good. We want to hang on to it. So we have to like move in together, get married quickly, do this. But if it's the right person, or if it's the right path for you, it won't go away if you take baby steps. That's my philosophy in that.
Yes. Yeah, I totally believe that. And I really love when things can grow organically, right? Then it's often most aligned. And yes, of course, that go-getter energy, I think for some people it works, and it works really well, and they reach a lot and they get a lot done with that energy. But I feel that really grounded energy, and I feel that also in your work often comes from doing it a little bit more in a slow pace, and really feeling into it in what you're doing.
My son has this book, it's called Frog and Toad, and there's this story in it that Frog is like trying to grow these plants. So he's got some seeds, and he plants them, and then the next day he goes back and he starts screaming at the seeds, and he's like, grow, seeds, grow. And I sometimes feel like we have that urge, right? We want like this instant gratification of something, but it doesn't have to be, and good things do take time.
Yes. And well, it's a question I also ask, within I always feel in the philosophy of trust or really unfolding into your unique path, there are often a lot of problems which turn out as opportunities. And I've seen this working now. I was just watching, for example, a while ago, Bohemian Rhapsody, the movie of Queen, and I thought, oh yeah, it's one of those examples. I don't know if you saw it, but he was working as a carrying a luggage on the airport, putting the bags, you know, in the plane. And then he was in one night, he was in this bar, and there was this band he really liked, and then the lead singer, you know, he stopped, and this is
Yeah,
when he said, "Hey, do you need a new lead singer?" And they were like, "Yeah, who are you?" You know, and this in the end, you know, became Queen, and
yeah,
it's good to be true, you know. You cannot think about these kind of things happening. Do you feel that you have had a moment of a problem, for example, which turned into a great opportunity for yourself?
yeah, definitely. Yeah, I mean, there's a couple, but one I can think of is like the pandemic in itself, like when that
Mm,
started and we had like a big lockdown here. That coincided with a big solo show at a gallery that was happening, and um, I remember I dropped off my artworks, but like we had to. I think there was an opening reception, but I didn't go because I was just too. I don't know. It was just so. We weren't supposed to drive from county to county, and
mm,
um, I don't know. It was just everybody was like staying at home and just being very careful. And I remember saying to my husband, I was like, "Well, that's it for my for my art career." I said, "I'm glad I still have my freelance work for Apple." And I said, I think I'm just gonna focus on that, you know, during until this blows over. Because I said I don't think I'll sell any art. But on day one of the pandemic, I also thought, and this was an idea that I've had for a while, but because we were sheltering at home,
mm,
it sort of crystallized that I wanted to use natural materials from the yard in my artwork. So on day one of like being at home, I'm like stitching a stick to paper, and I'm like, what am I doing? This is silly. What, you know, what's my goal here? And it took a couple of uh,
tries.
tries before I
Mhm.
landed on my nesting series, what later became my nesting series. But I was like, I just want to be at home. I'm just gonna experiment with this. I'm gonna sell these artworks. I'm gonna auction them on Instagram for whatever people want to
Want to
buy
pay
them
for it?
for. Yeah, and I'm like, this is gonna be my little project for the next couple of weeks when we're at home. So that snowballed. It went from like, you know, the first couple of pieces, my friends bought them, and I was so thankful that, you know, there were some bids on them. But then pretty soon, um, people really started like bidding against each other. I started getting DMs like, can you please post them at different times? Can you please make more, make them? And I was like, oh my gosh, there's, you know, this is, there's
Mm,
a want and a need for this. So then, yeah, that's how my nesting series became successful, and it's still my most successful series to date. And
mm.
I'm still working on it. I'm making 4 new pieces before baby arrives, um, for a client. So yeah,
Mm.
that's one like problem that I was like, oh my gosh, bye bye art career.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah, yeah, yeah.
that
Which turned
it's
into your best idea.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, beautiful, beautiful. I always love the to ask the question, if you could say one word to your 18-year-old self, if you're looking back now, what would it be?
Um, well, one word is hard. I would say
What? Oh, one word is hard. No, I
one
get
word. Yeah.
only one.
I would say be kind to yourself and treat yourself as one of your best friends.
Mm,
Because I feel like sometimes what has held me back is sort of negative self talk.
Mm.
self-doubt. I am still surprised, even at this age, at how hard I can be on myself. Like if I mess something up, my internal dialogue, if I would say that to a stranger or a friend or, people would be in shock. Like, you don't treat another person that way. So I would tell myself, like, be kind to yourself.
Mm.
Forgive yourself for mistakes that you make, and talk to yourself in a way that you would talk to a friend. Because
Mm.
I feel like, I don't know, I think I let myself also be mistreated sometimes just because I didn't feel I was worthy or deserving of something great. And
Mm.
yeah, I think and now I'm thinking, why? Like, you spend so much time with yourself, your own companion. You might as well enjoy it and love yourself a little more.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I love that. Yeah.
How about you? Do you have advice for you yourself?
Um, well, the easiest thing would be to say trust, right? But yeah, I would really say like relax.
Hmm.
Relax and don't worry. I think it's very much related to what you're saying. No, like, yeah, surrender to life because life will lead you on the way where you need to go. And well, that little voice, like you described it, or that voice in our head it's there's so much fear and so much it's got so much to say,
Yeah.
so many opinions, so much judgment, so many words. So yeah, I would say relax to myself, but on the other hand, it's a difficult practice, right? And maybe you recognize that as well because um, yeah, our society is still so head dominated, and
Yes. Yeah.
to really know, truly know that the head is not the ultimate reality. I think that is a step that we did not generally, or we're not generally making yet. So yeah, that keeps us in that system now of fear.
Yeah. Yeah. And to tell somebody to relax, it's very hard. It's like, telling somebody, don't think about the pink elephant, or.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Yes, yes, yes,
Yeah.
yes.
But it is good
Yeah.
advice in general.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, 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 yeah.
If you can get
Yeah,
there. Yeah.
and it's so interesting. Well, it's exactly what you say, no? Like I also feel that, for example, my journey, yes, what I'm doing now, I've never thought that, I've never planned that. It's just something, yes, that happened, and it came from this internal drive, no, this internal love and commitment to yeah, just follow the joy, follow the love, and trust that life will lead the way. And I think, yeah, the moment we do that, then yeah, things slowly start to fall into place more and more and more and more. So do you have a practice that keeps you keeps you sane from that voice?
Yes. Well, number one, my art. So that's kind of nice
Mm,
that,
mm,
I can find that piece in my art. Um, so it's during this pregnancy, it's been pretty challenging because I
mm,
feel I can get to that place of like being in the flow and without thought, mainly through moving my body. So it used to be dance for me. And then after my son Lou was born, um, it was more yoga because it felt better on my body. But then now with the pandemic, like my yoga class studio was closed. It opened briefly, but I like doing hop vinyasa, so that didn't work so well with like a mask and then being pregnant.
mm.
And I
Uh-uh.
like the energy of a group while doing that. So I do sometimes practice yoga at home, but I just don't get the same satisfaction out of it. And it's been a lot of hiking in nature, which also during this pregnancy has just not felt good. So it's been challenging because I want to say like, oh yeah, I meditate all the time, but I don't. I do, I do occasionally,
You
and then
make
I'm like,
art. Yeah.
yeah, I make art, but I'm like, oh, that felt really good, and why don't I do that more often? And I don't know, just sometimes I just can't get in that headspace of really sitting down and just doing a silent meditation.
Mm.
I've been doing a lot of acupuncture throughout the pregnancy, so that's really helped me because then I'm there. I'm in a space. I can't go anywhere. I'm just laying on my back and
Yeah. Yeah.
um, um,
But it is interesting though. When you say like, okay, my art is my meditation, right? Do
right.
you, and it must have some kind of influence also on the art itself, if
Yeah.
that is your meditation. Do you feel that as well? Or do your clients feel that?
I hope so. I hope they do feel it, but I feel it, especially when I'm in the planning phase. So I sit with for my nesting series. I grab a stick or a stone and I move it around over the paper, and then I start sketching and I start figuring out where my design is gonna be, what it needs, what the stick needs, and it's almost like this. Yeah, it's a very
Mm.
intuitive, meditative state that I'm in, and I can't do that with any distractions or anything. So I'm just like totally in the zone and working on that. But then when I'm stitching, I often am like, oh, let's watch some TV or something,
Oh
or
yeah.
listen to audio. So, I mean, even though the stitching is very meditative and sometimes I do it quietly, um, yeah, sometimes I'm just like, okay, the fun part or the meditative part is kind of over. Um, and now I'm just making it. Yeah.
Mm, mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. So the meditative part is really the design and getting it all together.
Yeah. Yeah. And it can take some time. Like sometimes I just it if I'm not in the right headspace for that, I can't force it.
Mm,
So I've had times that I'm like sitting there and I really want it to look a certain way, and it's just not coming out.
mm.
And I have to come back to it a day later or something. Like I'm not a factory that just makes the
Yeah.
same design over
Yes.
and over again. It's like
Yes.
um, if it doesn't feel right, I don't want to make it.
Yeah, exactly. Does
Yeah.
the sentence "do less and accomplish more" does it have any meaning to you?
Do less and accomplish more. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
How,
Especially
how
in the
do
creative realm.
how do
Um,
you feel that's working for you then?
yeah, sometimes I just need to take a break. I
Mm,
just know like, okay, this, um, and I especially feel it like when, I don't know, when the world feels heavy around me, like, last week with all the news coming out and stuff. I could not
mm,
make art. I was like, I am too hurt right now. I feel the pain of the world. This is not happening. So I'm just gonna sort my embroidery thread. Um,
mm.
I sorted my son's Lego, so maybe I have this thing for sorting.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
um,
yeah.
but just to sort of calm my nerves, and yeah, yeah, do less, accomplish more. I think it resonates with me.
Mm,
I'm definitely not like, especially with my art. When I was a translator, I was like, bring it on, give me all the words. And now with my art, I pick and choose. Yeah, I'm like,
mm.
does this project feel right? Does it sound right for me? Is it something that I can really be creative in? I'd rather, make like one or two artworks where I have like free range than, people asking me to make like 50 similar or the
Yeah, yeah,
same.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Stone
Um,
on the right corner, please.
yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Artwork to match the couch. You get that one
Yeah,
a
yeah,
lot.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
So yeah.
Yeah, beautiful. Beautiful. So if you look at your work and what you do, what would you feel like? What role does trust play for you in what you do in your journey as an artist?
Um, it's very important. If my work doesn't feel true to me, I can't put it out there.
Mm.
And for what I've discovered, like being an artist, being a successful artist, you have to put your work out there. Like nobody's gonna give you your big break, gonna discover you, like you need to make work. But like when I started out, I think I made art for like 20, and 80% of the time I was like putting my art out there. Like I was, submitting it to art blogs and galleries. And I think if you don't feel that trust of like my work is good enough, my work is original enough, it's in line with who I am, then I don't think you'll be able to put it out there enough to make it happen either.
Yeah.
So it's like trusting your gut, trusting that you're doing the right thing, but also looking at your work and loving it enough that you trust yourself to put it out there. Because that's the scary part. Making is I think there's a lot of people who make stuff at home, put it in a drawer, and never show it to anybody.
And I think that maybe even counts for other professions as well. No, if I look at myself, like, oh yeah, really getting out there and, for example, guiding or teaching or working with meditation or whatever. Yes, it's just okay. Then go do it. Yes, I did it. Yeah, I know how to do it. But then, put yourself out there, and I think that is.
You have to be incredibly brave to do that, especially if it's not the path that people expect of you. Because, you and I both come from the Netherlands, where people don't have a filter when it comes to like, questioning certain life decisions, or they're like, what are you doing? Wait, what? You're
Is that a good idea?
Yeah. Is that safe? Or what are you going to do with that? It's, people will question those things. So you gotta be pretty grounded and pretty brave to choose a little bit of a different path than what people envision for you.
Do you feel that's different in the States?
Yes. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I've thought about that a lot, because I don't know if I would be where I am today if I was still in the Netherlands. Because here in the United States, it's a country full of immigrants, and the American dream is still like this big ideal of like people coming to America, trying something new, and exploring entrepreneurship basically. Whereas in the Netherlands, I feel like, I don't know, me growing up, it was like I never even thought about like starting a business or something. It was like, which profession are you gonna be, kind of. And here I know a lot of people, a lot of friends who also like became a mother, wanted to focus on that, and then next to that kind of explore what they want to do. So there's all sorts of examples I see around me from women who just start their own business in this or that, or make a career change, or I feel like it's here it's considered kind of brave and cool, if you will. Whereas in the Netherlands, it's more like, like people see it as a sacrifice. They question it more.
Yeah. And it's also interesting what you say, because I feel also, at least in the Netherlands, maybe motherhood is more a barrier to your career than yeah, something, time to explore something new, or something more flexible, or what you would really like to do. I know that many women are doing that, but it's also an interesting change, no point, interesting point of views. Like I know that many women, yeah, okay, they like to have children, but they're afraid, oh, what's happening to my career now?
Yeah,
But what if we could turn that around, and it could be an opportunity
yeah.
for, yeah,
And
really doing
here,
what you love.
I think because I'm in the Bay Area where childcare is so insanely expensive, that many women, like myself included, when when you hit that stage of like, okay, we're gonna have a baby, and you realize how much childcare is gonna cost versus how much you're making, that you're like, well, why would I then still work?
Yeah, yeah,
I mean, there are
exactly.
people who
Yeah.
can, afford it, like if you're a doctor or a lawyer or, work in the tech industry, you can do it. But for me, it felt like such a big part of our income would go to that I was like, well, why don't I stay home and see what I can do on the side? And many of
Mm.
my friends have taken that approach, um, which is kind of nice. But in the Netherlands, I don't think that's as common.
No, no, I think it's different. It's different too. Yeah, well, and that's a whole different discussion. Oh, like I am here in Morocco, and there it's more
Yeah,
still the community feeling. It's like, okay, we're all taking care of a kid,
yeah.
um,
I, wi-
instead
I wish
of
I wish it was more like that here, because we
yeah,
don't have
exactly.
family here.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah, yeah, yeah.
but there is a sense of community too. Like, they say it takes a village, and um,
Mm,
I do feel like other families are very supportive.
mm.
Yeah, here too. But yeah, I bet you in Morocco it's kind of second nature, right?
Yes, yes, yes. It's still, yes, all together, and it's more obvious to yeah, everybody takes responsibility also for kids, and yeah, does things for each other. It's less boxed, the
Yeah,
way of living. Yeah,
yeah,
definitely.
nice. I have a question for you. Let me get
Yeah,
my
yes.
tea. Because I really, yeah, I really like your philosophy of life, of like the navigating on trust principle. It really resonates with me. But what I felt a couple times in my life is that I feel I'm doing that. I'm feeling I'm on the right path.
Mm,
And then all of a sudden, things go so wrong. Something happens. It can be anything from, like big trauma, like
mm,
losing somebody, a project not going the right way, or like something that can really knock you off your feet.
mm.
When you think you're on the right path, all of a sudden, boom, your life changes from one day to the next, or just
Yes.
all these obstacles all of a sudden. What do you do then to keep trusting if you're not on the right path? Like, how do you get back, um, yeah, and
Yeah.
get comfortable with things like grief or
Yes.
pain or
Yes.
um,
Yes.
resistance?
Yeah, it is. Yeah, I'm wondering. I'm wondering if there's ever such a thing like being on the wrong path, right?
Right.
Um, is there any, all the things, if I look back at my own journey, and you probably too, like everything you did somehow contributed to where you are now. So
Yes.
um, it is a difficult question. It's a big question, and I think the most important thing, and for me also dealing with grief, loss, or great sudden life changes, is we normally want to resist those things. No, if things go
Yeah.
sideways or things go wrong or we are hurt, because we are coming from a society, I think Western society, where many feelings and many circumstances are placed in sort of the positive box, and then there is a negative box
Right.
instead of the box of life. So And I write about this in the book as well. There will be 7 principles of trust. So 7 principles, life principles, underlying mechanisms that really can help you and support you on how to move into trust. And the second principle is called the principle of embrace and expand. And it really says, like, no matter what comes on your path, because when it's on your path, it's already there, it already happened.
Yeah.
We have 2 options. We have 2 options. One option is embrace it and expand from it or into it. And the other one is resist it and hold it and fight against it.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I don't know what about you, but I have personally found a lot of aliveness, a lot of truth, a lot of real life in embracing grief and loss, for example. So I experience that if you can totally say yes to that, even though how horrible and sometimes unfair and yeah, difficult it is, if you're able to do that, then like poof, there is so much
Yeah.
light and so much energy.
Yeah. No, I have felt that too, with things that I've had on my path, like really hard things. But still, I do feel resistance, even though it has happened, it has passed, and you think you've given it a place. Yeah, sometimes it rears its head, and you're like,
Yeah.
why did that happen? Is it going to happen
Yes.
again?
Yes.
Is it a sign of that I should do something different? Or so yeah, I always, things like that shake me. Yeah. And not only in my personal life, but also like just watching the news and seeing what's going on in the world.
Yes. Yes.
That can sometimes also, like, I'm like, what part do I play in that?
Yes.
Yeah, how can I trust
Yes.
my own instincts and that things are right for me if they're so wrong for somebody else, for instance. So,
Yes.
yeah.
Yes. Yeah, and I totally feel you, because it's often like, okay, ever being on the wrong path, for example, how do you apply that to the current war or what just happened in the United States? It's
Yeah.
yes, it's then in those cases it's a very difficult concept, but yes, once again, they happened, they are there. So yes, we have 2 options. No, we have option of resisting what already is or embracing what already is what is. And yeah, I also understand what you say. What can I do then? What can I do in
Correct.
those cases? What can I do when the world is on fire
Yeah.
and those terrible things are happening? But I always feel it's like, yes, the most important thing I can do is manage my own
Yeah.
energy, my own thoughts,
Yeah.
make sure that I don't send that kind of violence. And many
Yeah.
things, like you say, we have all this little inner terrorist in our head, no, that's telling us terrible things. And yeah, I think managing that through consciousness and connection, remembrance and presence, I think that is what we can do.
That's true, because from that comes action. And I see that, like, with like raising my son, like how important and how hard it is to, instill certain values in him. And but yeah, it starts with with yourself, and from that, hopefully you can take action and send that out, in order to counter whatever is happening, or at least not contribute
Yes.
to it. Yeah.
Yes. I think it was Eckhart Tolle, the spiritual teacher, who said, like, we cannot change anything. The only thing we can do is being the space for the change. And that resonates with me so much. No, it's like, yes, okay, if I can be that space with that energy, then there is no other option than other things start changing as well. For example, you can see it with children. If you really sit down and be conscious and change your own energetic state or how you feel, it has an effect on your immediate surroundings. You see it with animals, you see it with many things.
Yeah, that's very true. That's very true. And in that sense, like my son, especially now, he's like almost 5. Yeah, he can be like a little mirror of like
Mm.
my consciousness and my
Yeah.
presence. Like if I'm tense, he can sense it and he'll
Yeah,
start
yeah, yeah, yeah.
out. Yeah, yeah. That's
Yes, there's no hiding, right?
no, no. It's really remarkable at how intuitive kids are. Yeah.
Yeah. Thanks, Natalie. We're already we're already 50 minutes.
Wow, that went fast.
Yes, it went super fast. Yeah, I loved. I'm reflecting a little bit. So I think yes, the main idea you shared about your journey of trust was, yeah, going with what feels good, what truly feels good
Yeah.
with your in your
It,
inside.
and sometimes that's at a very slow pace.
Yes,
I would say.
yes,
Yeah, because I that's the thing, like, what we put on our Instagram and stuff, like people see your success story, right? They see, I'm not putting on there every rejection letter that I've gotten or every
mm,
hardship or, like, yeah, it's stuff that I want to put out there and that I'm proud of. I share there, but people look at that and they're like, wow, look at her, like, she became like an artist overnight. Or no, like, yeah, for me, like, easy does it. I know that some people have to like jump in and go for it, but for me, I'm
yes,
kind of happy that it was like a slow journey, but
yes.
yeah, I feel really solid in it.
Yeah, I love that. It's another of the principles of trust. It's called organic space and time, and it's really about, yes, growing with all the elements of life, no, and with your personal journey and what life presents in the moment, and then yes, trusting the ideas and the things that come to you. So I really, yeah, I can really resonate with that.
Yeah.
Thanks so much. It was
Thank
super,
you.
super fun to speak to you
Yeah.
again.
Thank you for
In
inviting
English
me.
this time. Yes.
Yeah. Yeah. Next time in Dutch, maybe.
Thanks for this kickoff. And yes, I am just looking forward to see where the journey will take you even further. Yeah.
Yeah. No, and the same goes for you. I'm excited about your book. So you're writing it now?
I'm writing it now. It's already there because I hosted the trust program, which was
Yeah.
about the 7 principles of trust, which now flows into this book, as I've seen these principles really working for people and people are still using them. And as I speak with you now, they're yes, they seem like these underlying mechanisms of life that we can really use if we consciously practice them, that we can really use to move further into trust and then also into our deeper purpose and our, yeah, personal path. So I'm writing it as we speak. Yeah.
Cool.
It's there. It's in the refinement phase. Yeah.
Oh wow. Okay. Well, I can't wait to see
Yes.
it when it's out.
You will receive a message for sure.
But yeah, I'm looking forward to reading it. And
Thanks, Natalie. Thank you so much, and good luck with the birth with the baby.
thank you. Yeah, that's another
He
thing. That's
he
like, oh
he
my,
or she is ready to come. Yes,
yeah.
now.
Now I gotta start trusting that will all, go.
Yes.
Yeah, how it will go. We'll see.
Yes.
But
Yeah. Well, keep us posted, please.
we'll do. We'll do. All right.
Thanks a lot. Okay, we'll be seeing each other
Thank you.
online, and thank you so much for your time. Have a
You.
good day there in California.
Thank you, and you in Morocco.
Thanks.
Bye.
Bye.